Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, O Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, O Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Balachari, Yamuna Tira Om Natira Balachari, Yamuna Tira, O Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, O Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur,
Jaya Nitai, Jaya Gaur, Jaya Gaur.
Jaya Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan, Jaya Gaura Hari,
Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari.
Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radha,
Jaya Radha
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe,
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe.
Jaya Vishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe,
Jaya Vishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Ganhapika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Omasto Tarazara Shishima Chila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Omasto Tarazara Shishima Chila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Omasto Tarazara Shishima Chila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Omasto Tarazara Shishima Chila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantamanapetyam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Tarvo Benidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Anapita Chirim Chirat Gurunaivartino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnato Ujvalar Samsvabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatamba Sadipita Sadahradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Vajami Radam Aravinda Netram Smarami Radam Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radam Karuna Bharatram Tato Mamanastikatena Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Rate Tvam Nayamam Charantikam. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet, my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarazara Shishimat, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnave namo namaha. Can you hear me okay at the back? Because I haven't got a microphone. I've got a microphone here, which only operates on the Zoom, on the thing. So, but you can hear okay. So, we'll come to our Falshruti. Again, you know, I've been chanting this Falshruti now for 5 months, every single day practically, and it just never becomes tiresome. It's like every single time I read it, I feel some new revelation is being offered by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the nature of transcendental literature. It's never stagnant. It's never static. It's always, always ecstatic. Really. Okay, so last, where are we up to? Second. Okay. You have your book. It's on page 830. Jadedvaita
Jnana
jnana
hoy
hoya
chita
chita
upadaya,
upadaya
Krishna
Krishna
bhakti
bhakti
chira
chiradina
dina
upaya
upaya
upaya.
upaya. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected. Whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the Upai, means of attainment, and the Upai, goal worthy of attainment.
So there's a distinction between the means of attainment is the avidaya, that is our path, the means of attainment, and the goal is the prayojan. So there's a distinction here that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. And again, he's setting the precedent that anything materially motivated, even dharma, karma, moksha, etc., is to be rejected. It has no standing in the assembly of transcendental, aspiring transcendental devotees. It has no place because it's of a mundane nature. And our path is on the Shuddha Sattva, or even going to Vishuddha Sattva. We don't want to remain on this illusory material plane. That's the purpose of the scripture, is to take us beyond this material platform. Otherwise, why are we studying scripture? What is the objective? The objective is to reunite us in our original position as Jivera Surupoi Krishnera Nityadas, servants of that Supreme Lord. That's our focus. Otherwise, why would we be here? Jiva
Jiva
Kabu
Kabu
Jadanai,
Jadanai,
Hari
Hari
Kabu
Kabunai,
Nai,
Hari
Hari
Saha
Saha
Jiva
Jiva
Chintya
Chintya Beda
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 Mai.
Mai. The Jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevala Advaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari. The Jiva is inconceivably different and non different from Hari.
Absolutely fascinating understanding, philosophy that only Mahaprabhu is presenting this in full. Prior to Mahaprabhu, all of the Sampradayas all considered they had different notions, different understandings about the jiva, and they had different understandings about Krishna's manifesting his potency in this world. They all thought that Krishna was manifesting his potency. It's called Vastu Parinamvad. This is what they all considered. Madhvacharya, Ramanuja, Nimbaditya, Vishnu Swami, they all considered that it was Vastu Parinava. Mahaprabhu manifested this understanding of Shakti. It's coming from Krishna's Shakti. Krishna actually doesn't do anything at all. It's his Shakti coming through Yogamaya that does absolutely everything. Yogamaya has manifested this entire material creation for the pleasure of Krishna. Every single thing she does is just for Krishna's pleasure. So she's manifested this entirety of this cosmos from the higher realms to the middle realms to the lower realms, everything, the entire manifestation. Balaram is Krishna's first manifestation, but he's coming from Swarup Shakti. Everything is coming from Shakti. How can it not be that way? How can Krishna doesn't do anything. He has two qualities, Swa Tantrata and Swa Ichamayata. He has freedom and he has free will. That's all. In other words, he's the independent autocrat, just like Suryadev, the sun. The sun is there in its um, original nature. But all of the energy we see from the sun, that's coming from the sun rays and the sunshine, etc. Right? The sun is separate in a sense. So Krishna and his Shaktiman are actually the same. But at the same time, there's a distinction between them for Leela. Krishna wants to perform incredible Leelas with his Shakti. So Radharani, she manifests so many other manifestations from her because Krishna has such an enormous propensity for Leela. So billions of potencies are manifesting from Shri Radhika, her Kaya Vyuha. So we're hearing about all these topics gradually. But we should understand that this Achintya Beda Beda Tattva that is mentioned here in the 18th chapter, that the Jiva is one and simultaneously different to Krishna. It's listed 9 different qualities. This, what's that? Mantra Mayi, mantra, what is it? Mantra, Mantri Swarup, Swash Swarup, Para Swarup, Gyan Swarup, Nata Swarup, Bhakti Swarup. All these different aspects are here in Jaiva Dharma, the 9 similarities. So if you meet someone and say they're Krishna, you say, yes, you have the same qualities as Krishna, but you're atomic. You're very small. The Jiva doesn't have the capacity to manifest universes, etc. So this is all explained in chapter 18. Okay.
Deha kabhu jinai dhara bhogyanai dasya bhogya jiva Krishna Prabhu bhokta hoy. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not for the jiva to exploit and enjoy.
This is a massive error. The whole world is suffering simply because of this error. As long as we want to enjoy material um, activities, material pleasures, etc., it means we haven't understood Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan is the platform. Who is Krishna? Who is the Jiva? And what is the nature of Maya? These 3 vastus. This is discussed in the first chapter of Jaiva Dharma. So we have to be grounded in these tattvas to go forward, because now we've reached the chapter of Bhav Bhakti, which is a very high subject matter. Prior to that, it was Raganuga Satan Bhakti. Before that, it was Vaidhi Bhakti. So we've come through these different stages of development. So now we've reached the platform of Bhav Bhakti, which is very high. So we have to um, appreciate these basic principles to have a strong platform to set the topic of Bhav Bhakti upon it. Otherwise, we're just going to be bewildered by these topics completely.
The jiva swarup is Krishna Das, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Sri Krishna swarup is Prabhu, master, and bhokta, enjoyer.
Yes, it's Krishna. It's all about him, or Sri Radhika, depending how you understand it.
Jaiva Dharma
Dharma
nahi
nahi
ache,
ache
deha
deha
dharma
dharma
kata,
kata,
nahi
nahi
ache
ache
jiva
jiva
jnane
jnane
maya
maya
vada
vada
prata.
prata. This book, entitled Jaiva Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavada doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm.
So again, he's reiterating what he's already said in practically every single verse. He's using different language to try and affect the consciousness to bring us out of this material vision, to understand what is my real nature. Actually, I am like one with Krishna in the sense that I am his servant. I'm connected, Vibhinamsa. I'm a separated part of Krishna. At the same time, I'm connected to him in service. And if I want to wake up my nature, my natural propensity, then it's this serving attitude which must be there in the front consideration, in the prime consideration of my life. How can I serve Krishna? Every activity we were discussing yesterday, from the early morning until the evening we're resting, we want to fill it with only the principle of how can I please Krishna? And as soon as my own desires start to come in, misery will come. It just has to happen that way. We'll start to feel suffering in all different angles. So it's there for us. It's very simple in one sense, but at the same time, we think because we are very attached to our false ego. So it's this false ego that trips us up all the time. We don't want to actually surrender and submit that. But actually, our false ego is, in fact, false. It has no standing. It's nimitic. It can just be blown away in a moment. And then what are we left with? The immaculate, pure spirit soul and his service to Krishna, but not in the Brahmand, not in the Brahmajyoti, not in this Nirvishesh Brahm. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is emphasizing this in every verse because that's the option. If we don't go for service to Krishna, we go for this Nirvishesh Gyan, Nirvishesh Brahm. We want to actually merge like Sayuja Mukti into that Brahmajyoti with Krishna. And many do. Okay.
Jiva nitya dharma bhakti tahe jadanai, Shuddha jiva prema seva phale payatai. The jiva's nitya dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation.
That's his dharma. This is his essential dharma, his swadharma. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the example in the very beginning of Nishag, of the ice block. The ice block, if you ask the ice, what is your constitution? He'll say very hard. But his constitution is not actually hard. That's an acquired nature. That's a covering over his actual nature. If a warm current comes, he'll go back to its original swadharma of liquid. That's its original dharma. So our original dharma is this nitya dharma of the jiva is devoid of material motivation, unalloyed, a hoitiki bhakti for Krishna. And it's beautiful. It's something very wonderful, except we dodge it. We try to escape doing like that for a million different reasons. Every individual has his own particular reasons for not wanting to perform Shuddha Bhakti. It's all around the focus of attachment, various individual attachments that we have. We're holding on to them. And we think if I let go, I'm going to die or something's going to be lost. We have to have courage on this path. This path requires courage.
The jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prema.
When we perform the seva, then prema is the fruit. And we're hearing about prema, so to attract us. Yesterday, in our reading, I was actually very dissatisfied at the end. I didn't feel that we had really described sufficiently the background to this topic. We've galloped into Bhav Bhakti in the 22nd chapter, but we're talking about these confidential topics because most of you on this live stream have come through from the first chapter. We've been doing since May, and we've come through since 5 months, 6 months from the so some adhikar, some eligibility has built during that time. So this is why we're able to speak anything on these topics. Otherwise, we wouldn't really be opening this door. But because we've studied the other 21 chapters, now we have some appreciation, first of all, of what is Sambandha Gyan. But yesterday, I think we just read a bit too quickly, too fast, or I wasn't catching up with the topic sufficiently to my satisfaction. And when I woke up this morning, I felt some dissatisfaction about not going significantly enough into what we discussed yesterday. So I want to just read through parts of what we did yesterday and try and explain some background understanding so we can get a greater picture of this Bhav Bhakti. It has to be in context. We have to understand its incredible speciality. So on page 506, I think this is where we started yesterday.
Hmm.
The constitutional characteristic, that's where we started yesterday.
Yes.
So I'm going to start reading here, and then I'm going to stop and explain some background. So the constitutional characteristic, Swarup Lakshan, Swarup means internal, Swarup Lakshan of Bhav is that it is situated in unalloyed goodness, Vishuddha Sattva, unalloyed goodness. So no question that I can be having some emotional experience and considering, oh, this is Bhav Bhakti. If it's not connected solidly to knowledge of Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan begins with understanding who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the focus. And secondly, understanding that I am a servant of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the second understanding. Then the third understanding, or the Mayic appreciation of what is the nature of this material world. These are the three vastus, the three unalloyed, what do you call, objects, vastu, all abiding object. That's how a vastu is described. It can't be broken. It's like an element. It can't be broken down. It's completely fixed. So Krishna, the Jiva, and Maya. These are these three vastus that we need to understand. The relationship between these three is called Sambandha Gyan. So if you're having an emotional sort of like experience, say in a temple with a kirtan, something like that, then you might think, oh, I'm experiencing some bhav. And it may be an abhas, a semblance of bhav. But you should know yourself what is the tattva of bhav. So this is what we're discussing. We should know its speciality. We should know its vaishishtya, its exceptional speciality, and so on. So Vishuddha Sattva. Bhav is also known by the name Rati, and is sometimes called a sprout of prem. So Suddha Sattva Visheshatma Prem Suryavam Samyabhak. Ruchibis Chitam Mishnu Shud Ashu Bhav Uchyate. This is the verse that's describing that. That Bhav is a ray of the sun of Prem. We cannot achieve Prem in this birth. Not possible. Absolutely not possible. Your body will explode. The heat of Prem is just too much. The material body doesn't have the adhika for that. Doesn't have the equipment, so to speak. You would just explode. But Bhav, we can reach this state of Bhav. And we should aspire for this state of Bhav. Because we've said so many times, three stages of bhakti. There's sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. This we have to know rock solid. Klesh agni shubhada. This is sadhan bhakti. When all the sufferings, klesh agni, have been incinerated. And shubhada, everything becomes auspicious. This is sadhan. But if this sadhan is not being focused on the attainment of bhav bhakti, it is exactly like zero. Because why else are you doing the sadhan? You're doing it for moksha, for mukti, for karma, for gyan. What other purpose would you have in performing sadhan unless it was for the objective of achieving bhav? What is the purpose? If it's just to achieve a shanti state of consciousness, that is almost like a kami in a sense. It's a material objective, or it's a gyan, it's a knowledgeable objective. It's not shuddha, it's not pure. So we have to be fully focused on the direction that my sadhan is taking me. Not that I have ever thinking that I have attained the state of bhav, but I am going in the direction of bhav. So this chapter is going to explain something of the nature of bhav. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you can't say these things in words. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is just pointing us in the direction. He's giving us some idea. this stage of bhav has to be experienced by the individual sadhak through his practice, his sadhan abhinivesh chabhav, it's described. We're going to discuss this here. This is by his practice. He can bring himself to experience this stage of bhav, and it's going to be described clearly. So this is more of the background, which I didn't go into so much yesterday. So, oh yes, sprout of prem, prem ankur. And remember what I commented last time? What?
Madhavendra Puri,
Madhavendra Puripad is considered
the
that
prem.
embodiment of prem ankur. He's the seed of this bhav manifesting in this world. Madhavendra Puri was the first personality to actually express Aidina Dayadrinatahe, Maturanath Kalapalokate, Hridayam Tvad Aloka Kataram, Dayata Brahmyate Kim Karomya Aham. This Kim Karomya Aham is like a kinkari. He's saying, what can I do? What can I do? It's like in the mood of a manjari. Aidina Dayadrinatahe, Maturanath Kalapalokate, Hridayam Tvad Aloka Kataram, Dayata Brahmyate Kim Karomya Aham. This Kim Karomya Aham is like a mood of a maidservant. He's feeling like that because he's remembering a mood of Sri Radhika. When Radhika was suddenly left by Krishna. After Krishna, first of all, Radhika left the Ras Leela. Then Krishna went to pacify her. And then he walked through the forest with her, decorating with her at Shringaravat, these different places. The gopis were coming behind. They made an arrangement. Krishna made an arrangement for the gopis to find the queen of the Ras, Shri Radhika, in the highest state of separation from himself. So this was all an amazing pastime. So there comes a point when Krishna says to Radhika, oh, do you want to keep walking? Or do you want to lie down on a flower bed? And at this point, Radhika says, oh, I don't mind. You can either keep walking with me or you can take me to a flower bed. But this mood of compliance, it has a name. It's called a Dakshin Bhav. It means submissive. All of a sudden, the heroine has become submissive to the hero. The hero was in a very submissive mood to the heroine. Her state of consciousness is called Swadhina Vartrika. This means when the heroine controls the lover completely. This is when the heroine, there's 8 types of heroine, but this Swadhina Bhartika is the topmost heroine. And she is completely at her pinnacle when she's controlling her lover. Oh, Krishna, fix my ankle bells. Krishna, fix my shringara. Fix my hair. What a mess you've made of me. You know, fix it before the gopis come in. This is Swadhina Bhartika. So Krishna is submissive to that mood. Krishna is in Dakshin Bhav. Radharani is in Bomya Bhav, this contrary or Swadhina Bhartika mood. Then all of a sudden she's saying, well, you can take me to a flower bed or we can just keep all of a sudden she's compromised. So now there's no more real ras on the ocean of this Staibab. There's no more real waves happening. It's become like flat because they're both the same. So at this point, Krishna leaves. And Radhika goes into the highest pitch of Vipralamba, separation. And this is when the gopis, they find her. So, I've forgotten now why I was saying that.
Premankur.
Oh yes, thank you. So, thank you. So, Madhavendra Puri, he's seeing this pastime. And at that point, Radhika, she says this beautiful verse, Hey Nata Ramana Prishta, Kwasi Mahapuja, Dasyaste Kripamaya Me, Saki Darshaya Sanidim. She's saying like this, oh, Master, the Lord of Mathura, with your great body, you have left me and I'm bereft. I'm so wretched. I'm just falling at your feet in a wretched condition. She's crying like that. Dasyaste, oh sake dasyaste sanidim. She's saying like this. So Madhavendra Puri is remembering this same verse when he's leaving his body, and he chants this famous verse, Ai Dina Dayadrina Tahe, these two verses. So this is who is Madhavendra Puri. He's the Prem Ankur, and Ishwara Puri is like the sapling. I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but I think I have to make the background. So this is the Prem Ankur. So now we go on. Propensity for divine knowledge, Sangvit Vritti, is an aspect of the all-enlightening internal potency. The Sangvit Vritti is coming from Swarup Shakti. It's coming from the internal potency. Sangvit Vritti means the cognitive understanding, means the higher intelligence. This Sangvit Vritti is an aspect of the all-enlightening internal potency, Swarup Shakti. It's coming from the Swarup Shakti. This is a transcendent. It can't. We have the seed of Bhav within us. Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhav sasadanabhida. Nitya siddhyasya bhavasya prakritam kriti sadhyate. We have that in potential automatically, but it's dormant and it needs to be woken up by a transcendental influence. It can't just be woken up by our own mundane material practice. Therefore, we need the transcendental guru to wake us up, or the transcendental realized sadhu to wake us up. But whatever, that is coming from a transcendental place, because our minds are just mundane material. It has to come from a transcendental, and then it'll wake up our original transcendental nature residing in the heart. It's already there. It's not coming from another place, but it starts in the mental faculty with the Sangvit Vritti. And then with that divine knowledge, it comes into the heart and it mixes with the Hladini Shakti to give us realization of that knowledge that we had just in the mind. It gives us realization of that. And we gave many examples of that. What was that example you gave?
Jamun.
Nice, what?
Gulab Jamun.
Gulab jamun, yeah. Like if you describe to someone who has never had a gulab jamun, you say it's round, it's very sweet, it's juicy, it's lovely. You can put it right in your mouth all at one time. But if you've never actually had one, you don't quite get it. This is like the Sangvit Vritti. You've got the knowledge, but you haven't actually had realization from it. But then when the Hladini Shakti manifests, you actually put the gulab jamun in your mouth and you taste it. You get the realization of it. You get the realization of the knowledge, so it becomes a compounded reality in the heart, fully fixed. It wakes up what was already there. This is the process. What? Yeah.
So Maharaj,
Give him the microphone. They need to hear your question on the.
so Maharaj, maybe this is Abbas. I don't know the technical terms. I'm very ignorant about these things, but I can only base it on the experience that I've had. That when you are with, I was with His Holiness Srimad Gauragovinda Swami Maharaj in 95, 94. And then recently with Haladhar Swami Maharaj, who's his disciple. And I spent 100 days with him. And there was something that was happening that I cannot
Yes,
explain.
this is described. This is like the reflection.
Uh-huh.
This is actually Bab Abbas. We're going
Right.
to come to this point. Very nice point.
Right.
He's saying, if you didn't understand what he was saying, that he was feeling something transcendental, definitely
Yeah.
was manifesting.
Yeah.
And this is called, in the association of those transcendentalists, then a reflection of that Bhav can manifest in the heart, but it doesn't remain.
That's the question.
Yes, it's explained in here.
Okay.
You've come to the right place for the answer. It's explained here. Very good question. Thank you for that. That's called, it can be called either pratibimba or chaya. Chaya, more than likely. Chaya is a shadow, and a bas of Bhav. It's to give you some inspiration towards actually manifesting that Bhav within yourself.
I feel the same when I hear you.
We'll see. Okay. Swarup Shakti. And it is a state of unalloyed goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Now he's expressing again and again, it's Shuddha Sattva. Sattva gun is a material gun. Shuddha Sattva is beyond that material place. And Vishuddha Sattva is totally transcendental. So we should understand that with our material minds, we can't achieve something transcendental without coming in contact with someone else who is transcendental. It doesn't work that way. This is why your Ritviks have to be connected. Okay. Having no connection with Maya. When this Sangvritti combines with the propensity for unalloyed bliss, Danish Vritti, the essential aspect of that combination is called Bhav. So, can you understand that? No, we're not trying to understand it.
Yeah.
Let's start from that point. We're trying to appreciate it. We're trying to set our compass. We're trying to set our prayojan. This chapter is titled Commencement of Prayojan Tattva. Commencement. Commencement means you have a compass, and unless you've got your compass set first on Bhav Bhakti, and then we have to know what is Bhav Bhakti. If we have no idea really, Siddhantically, what is Bhav Bhakti, it's not a sentimental thing, because we also discussed in that fourth chapter how Lahari Mahashaya, or the third chapter, he's discussing with Vaishnava Das, and he's saying that when he's chanting the kirtans for the devotees, he feels some sentiments arising in his heart, and he's considering this is Bhav, and he's trying to encourage those sentiments to rise, but he doesn't know what is Sambandha Gyan. So the whole rest of that chapter 3 is describing what is Sambandha, because if you don't know what is Sambandha Gyan, you can't access this. Sambandha Gyan is the very first step. It's what's described in the first 12 chapters of Jaiva Dharma. Again and again and again and again. Because we have to hear it from many places. It's the same teachings as Bhagavad Gita. Exactly the same teachings that our beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada gave. Non-different. What is Sambandha Gyan? This is what he gave in the beginning. Who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matahar Sapram. He is the complete controller of all the material worlds, the spiritual worlds. He's telling us like this. This is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the most wonderful foundation. We can't go on without that first. That has to be there. And the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, as we said before, is Sharanagati. But understand clearly that Sharanagati is not bhakti in itself. If you attain the stage of Sharanagati, that doesn't mean you're a bhakta. It's all about you. Sharanagati is about me surrendering, isn't it? It's not about Krishna. And your relationship with Krishna is just me surrendering to Krishna. It's still spotlight here. But we said before, remember the example I gave before? Huh? No. About getting dressed. Bhakti Rakshak Shiramaraj gives this beautiful example about Sharanagati. He said, everyone has to get dressed to go on the street. This is like Sharanagati. But the object of life is not to get dressed. That's not the principal focus on life. You just do that automatically, and then you can go out in the world. Understand this example? It's a very good example. We have to be Sharanagat to continue, but it's not the principle. If you talk all day and all night just about Sharanagat, that's not going to really evolve very far. You're going to come to a point where you're not going to be satisfied. It's not juicy, that there's no taste there, there's no rasa there. We want that ras. So Bhav Bhakti is the direction. So now, one obtains, hang on a second. This isn't, no. We've gone back too far, Gokul. We were on page 508, we started
No,
yesterday.
yesterday
Yes,
we
we started.
started from
What
12.
is Bhav arising from practice, where we started yesterday?
No.
No, this is where we started yesterday. You're wrong. We started, there are two types of Bhav arising from two different causes. This is where we started yesterday. So I'm sorry for all of that false alarm, but still it was good. I wanted to cover some background understanding, but that wasn't where I actually wanted to start today. But at least you got something started. And actually, we were on to the last 4 verses of the Kalshruti. We already did that yesterday.
Yeah.
Goku was a little bit behind yesterday too. I was also. That's why I'm doing it again. So now let's start again today. There are two types of bhav arising from two different causes. Okay, now we've come to the topic today. The first is bhav that has arisen as a result of ardent spiritual practice. Now, note this down, this expression, sadhan abhinivesh chabhav. It's helpful to know the Sanskrit terminology because it means something. This is what most of us are going to be recipients of. The effects of our bhajan, the effects of our chesta, our effort. As a result of that, then the bhav will manifest, as opposed to prasad chabhav, which is that which is gifted. This is the other one. This is the other type of bhakti, bhav rather. So the first is bhav that has arisen as a result of ardent spiritual practice, sadhan abhinivesh chabhav, and the second is bhav that has arisen due to Krishna's mercy or the mercy of Krishna's bhakta, prasad jabhav. So that is not so common, and we shouldn't be considering that that is going to be our case particularly. We're not blessed with the divine company of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We've got all of his teachings, but he's not manifesting in front of us to actually inspire us to that stage. Just by seeing Mahaprabhu, it's going to be described on the next page. So many people actually attain this prasad chabhav by actually seeing Mahaprabhu. But that's not our case. So we are in the sadhana abhinivesh chabhav state.
What about seeing a pure devotee? Doesn't that
Yes, yes, that is also. That is also. If you have the fortune to be in the company of Srila Gaura Govinda Goswami Maharaj, for example, or in the company of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, or in the company of my beloved Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, they were all Mahabhagavats of the topmost caliber. So certainly something can manifest in your heart from that association, without a doubt. But if you're devoid of that, then you have to pray for Krishna's mercy through your sadhana and your sincerity of practice that will manifest. Understand? We have to pray for it. If we pray for it ardently, sufficiently, Krishna, he listens to his heartfelt cries of his bhaktas and he makes some arrangement. Bhav that arises from the practice of sadhana is the most commonly observed. Bhav arising from special mercy is very rare. That's what we said already, right? So now, what is bhav arising from practice? Sadhana abhinivesh chabhav. Again, there are two kinds of bhav arising from practice. This is the point that I wanted to reach. I actually wanted to reach this paragraph. There are two kinds of bhav arising from practice. One is on the Vaidhi Marg, and the other is on the Raganuga Marg. Now, today I really want to unpack this topic, that this bhav of Vaidhi Bhakti is very sublime and most wonderful. It's described in, you got that file up? It's described in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. You can read those first two, the very top of the page, the first two, slowly, carefully. This is from Brihat Bhagavatamrita, describing the nature of Vaikuntha Bhav. Gopkumar has gone to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Bhav is Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaikuntha Bhav is attained by the sincerity and ardent practice of a person who is following very, very carefully the rules and regulations with all his heart fully, with a mood to please the object of his devotion, his Thakurji, for example, his deity, whoever that is, like that. But he's wanting to please Krishna. But it's not Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar Krishna. This is the enormous distinction that I want you to appreciate deeply. It's very, very important, because Bhav Bhakti exists in Vaikuntha. It's called Vaikuntha Bhav. But it's nothing like the same as the Bhav that exists in Goloka Vrindavan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not come to give us Vaikuntha Bhav. Vaikuntha Bhav was present for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Millions, billions of years, Vaikuntha Bhav has been there. Since the very beginning of this day of Lord Brahma, Vaikuntha Bhav has been available. All of the different ages have their different methodology to attain Vaikuntha Bhav. In Vaikuntha, there are 2.5 rasas. What are they?
Shanta, Dasya,
Shanta ras, Dasya ras,
Sakya.
a little bit of Sakya ras. These are the bhavs in Vaikuntha, 2.5. So if that sadhak is very seriously surrendered in many births serving the deity, he can become eligible to go to Vaikuntha. Who was eligible that we know? Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev went to the Vaikuntha realm. This is Bhishma Dev, such an extraordinary devotee. He saw Krishna even. He was seeing Krishna even as a lover. But his destination was Vaikuntha because he had this extremity of Aishwarya, this mood of Krishna is great, so great, and I am so small. Now, what does those first two verses? This is from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Listen.
You want me to read the verse?
The two English translations at the top of the page.
Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Vaikunta, the spiritual world. Although there is equality between Sri Bhagavan and all his eternal servitors due to their eternal natures. His servitors,
So they're all both eternal. Narayan is eternal. The Jiva is eternal. So there's equality in that sense.
his servitors feeling that he is the master and they are the servants.
He is the master and they are the servants. It's always this dynamic in Vaikuntha, always. This is the background I thought we needed to actually express to go forward with this chapter to understand what is Bhav Bhakti in Vrindavan. Unless we understand what is Bhav Bhakti in Vaikuntha, because it's mentioning here, it's saying directly that Vaidhi-marg, there are two types. One is in Vaidhi-marg. So we should understand that, appreciate. Yes, go ahead.
He is the master and they are the servants is both real and eternal.
Yes.
Thus, there is a difference between them.
Yes.
Bhagavan and his eternal associates are similar in that they both possess forms of Satchit Ananda.
Yes.
Yet,
Sarupya,
although
Salokya, Samipya, Sharsti. These are the liberations of Vaikuntha. Remember? Yes.
Yet, although it is beyond logic, the sweetness of the bliss of serving Bhagavan casts a spell on his devout associates, keeping them always immersed in their natural mood as servitors of Sri Krishna's lotus feet, which are an ocean of unfathomable, variegated sweetness.
Understand? It's a beautiful, beautiful condition and bhav, but it's not Braja bhav. It's not where Bhaktivinoda Thakur is encouraging us. It's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, even though it's ecstatic when you read about the Vaikuntha experience. But in Vaikuntha, the Lord is always the master. In Vrindavan, Krishna is not the master. Sridham will defeat him. Even Stoka Krishna will defeat him sometime. Radharani will definitely defeat him all the time, and the gopis, constantly. Mother Yashoda will pull his ears. Is there even a smell of this? It's underneath, and I explained that before about the example of the salt, the analogy of the salt, putting the 20 kilos of salt in the Ganga. You don't even know it's there. Do you remember that example? It was a good example. It's a good example. But the Vaikuntha salt is you just put it in a glass, one spoonful, and mix it up. It's very salty. That's like the Aishwarya in Vaikuntha. Understand this duty or reverence. I read you one verse here. I got a lot of things to share today. I'm not going to get through them. But there's one verse in the third canto. You can take a note of this. It's in third canto, chapter 25, verse 42. And I'll just read the translation. It is because of my supremacy that the wind blows out of fear of me. The sun shines out of fear of me. And the Lord of clouds, Indra, sends forth showers out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me. And death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me. We can substitute fear for duty if you want. If you feel very dutiful, it can have something of a fearful background to it. Oh, I got to go to Mangalati today. Oh my God, I got to get up. Yes, I love Krishna so much, but still I'm afraid I have to get there on time, right? So this motivation by fear, this is the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. It's not the path of Madhurya. Deeply appreciate this distinction between the two worlds. If we appreciate this distinction, we are no longer on the Kanishta level at all. My Gurudev used to say, if you understand this, then you are now Madhyam. If you understand this distinction, what is Sambandha Gyan and the distinction between the different spiritual worlds, then you are on the Madhyam platform. It's really important to catch it, you know. Otherwise, you won't understand the next part clearly. And also, this is what I really want to read to you. We've got some time. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela chapter 4, Adi Leela. This is one of the greatest chapters in all of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Adi Leela chapter 4. It's expressing the inner mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why he came. So there's a verse, Premaras Niryase Korite Ashwaran, Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. This is verse 16. And this means that Mahaprabhu has only come to taste prem, and he's come to give only Raganuga Bhakti. He has not come to give this Vaidhi Bhakti that we've just been talking about, or this Vaikuntha prem. That's not what he's come to give. So now in verse 17, Adi Leela chapter 4, it's saying, Krishna thought, all the universes are filled with the conception of my majesty, particularly when I'm Narayan in Vaikuntha. It's all majestic. Very loving, very sweet, very beautiful. The descriptions in Brihat Bhagavatamrita will tweak your heart, you know, that they're really beautiful descriptions, how much the devotees love him. But it's all with the mood of this deep service to Krishna. And always Krishna is the great master. Even Uddhav had this mood. Even he visited Vrindavan, but still he had the same, he's called a Jnani Bhakta. Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta. His place is Dwarka. Krishna thought all the universes are filled with the conception of my majesty, but love, weakened by that sense of majesty, does not satisfy me. Understand, this was key verse, key explanation. Where is Krishnadas Kaviraj getting all this from? From Rupa Goswami, from Sanatan Goswami, from Raghunath Das Goswami. That's where he's getting it from. He's living in Radhakund with Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. And he's very, very close with Raghunath Das Goswami, who's sharing everything what Swarup Damodar gave to Raghunath. What do you say?
Yes, Swarup Damodar, I want to say.
Yes, yes, yes. They're called kadachas, notebooks. Where are those notebooks? They're in his throat. These notebooks are there, and he's given those to Raghunath Das. And Raghunath Das is giving these to Krishnadas Kaviraj. We always have to see our chain, how it's manifesting. And then it has authenticity. If it's without the links, if it's without the authenticity, anyone can say anything. I'm not saying these things. Chaitanya Charitamrita is saying these things. Brihat Bhagavatamrita is saying these things. Bhagavad Gita is saying these things. This Jaiva Dharma is saying this, not coming from my mind whatsoever. And then verse 18. If one regards me as a supreme lord and himself as a subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. So we know in the realm of rati, it's been described. 3 different types of rati. There is, first of all, Sadarani Rati. This is the Rati of Kubja. And then there's the Rati of the queens of Dwarka, Samanjasaha. This is the Rati of the queens of Dwarka. And it doesn't control Krishna. They go to the stage of Anurag, but it doesn't control Krishna. Rukmini doesn't control Krishna. Satyabhama doesn't quite control Krishna. Almost she does. When Narad, he came with a flower from from Swagaloka, and he brought it into the assembly. Krishna just happened to be sitting with all his 16,108 queens. And he came in with this beautiful, this Parijat flower understands what it is. If you place this flower on your head, all great wisdom will come in your consciousness. Any bodily difficulty will completely melt away. This Parijat flower is a total mystical flower. It's not ordinary. It's coming from Swagaloka. So Narad, he brings one of these into the assembly where all his queens are present and says to Krishna, please give this flower to your favorite queen. But we know Krishna, he says to every single queen, oh, you are my favorite. You are my best. Look, I'm spending all my time in your house. They don't know that Krishna has expanded into all the other houses, all the other palaces. And they all think, oh, yes, Krishna is just with me. So Krishna thinks, oh, Narad, he's so tricky. Always Narad does like this. I mean, Krishna has a problem being Raso Vaisa, the repository of all ras, because he has to deal with so many different ladies' rasas, and he's always having to, placate them and so on, the different man of the different queens and the different gopis, etc. It's not a hard, easy task for him. Anyway, he looks at this flower, well, who am I going to offer it to? Whoever he offers it to, there's going to be, chaos from the other side. So he gives it to Rukmini, and Rukmini is Chandravali. So her mood is always submissive, Dakshin Bhav. But Satyabhama, her mood is always Bamya Bhav, always contrary. She is Radharani. And when she sees Krishna do this, that's it. She bangs her feet, she storms out of the whole assembly, and everyone sees, oh my God. And Krishna, he understands what has happened. And then he comes to the palace afterwards of Satyabhama, and Satyabhama has gone into the angry room. In Vedic times, in their system, they would have a particular room where you can go and be angry, and only in that angry room, so you contain the anger. It wasn't that you just be angry anywhere, anytime. You had a particular place for it. And generally there's a particular time for it. But this time, Satyabhama just went back there, took off all her queenly robes, put on old rags, lay on the floor and banged her fists on the ground like this, anger. But Krishna, he doesn't even bring his flute to Dwarka. He doesn't bring his peacock feather to Dwarka. He just tells the doorman at the palace, tell Satyabhama that Krishna is here, tell her to come immediately. So what is the strength of Satyabhama's man in Dwarka? She can't remain in that mood. When Krishna has ordered her to come, she has to be compliant. So she washes herself and gets dressed and comes to the door, but she's still very, very angry. And Krishna says to her at that time, why are you crying about this? I will give you a whole tree. And then, of course, he takes her on the back of Garuda to Swagaloka and takes a whole tree of Parijat flower, fights Indra, kills his army, comes back, plants it in Satyabhama's courtyard. And what does Satyabhama do? She has to invite all the queens immediately to see how great is she. So this is like Satyabhama. These are the activities that go on in Dwarka. So they don't actually control Krishna. To a degree, it's there, but their love is called Samanjasaha. But the gopis of Vrindavan, their love is called Samartarati. This Samartarati, three types of rati: Sadharani, Samanjasa, Samarta. This Samartarati totally controls Krishna. Krishna has to do almost what any of the gopis demand of him to do. Why? Because of their extremity of their affection and their love for him. This love of Vrindavan transcends love from any other planetary system or prakosht, any other chamber of the spiritual world. This love of Vrindavan totally melts Krishna's heart. Mother Yashoda's Vatsalya Bhav even allows her to bind him. The Sakas can even defeat him in wrestling. And all the gopis can easily control him by their love. Radharani in particular, she can have Krishna in such a depressed mood, sitting on the bank of Yamuna. Krishna can't live without knowing his relationship with Radhika is fixed. So Radhika knows that. Chandravali doesn't have that same relationship with Krishna. If Chandravali goes into Man, Krishna may just forget about her. And Chandravali knows that. Chandravali knows that Krishna loves Radhika more than her. Yet still her praying for him is supreme. This is magnificent and this is admirable in Chandravali. If it wasn't for Chandravali, Radharani wouldn't go into Man. So Chandravali is a very important ingredient in the whole Raj backdrop. But this understanding of these different moods, and compared to the mood of Vaikuntha Prem, Vaikuntha Prem doesn't even remotely come to this platform of controlling Krishna by their love. So this is the distinction. So now we're going to get into, tomorrow I have to complete the rest of what we didn't do today. But this, because it's saying here specifically that Vaidhi Marg and the other is Raganuga. So I wanted to explain the nature of that Vaidhi Marg in comparison to the Raganuga, which we will open out tomorrow more fully. We already went through it. Actually, we went through it in the previous chapter, but we want to go through it again in connection with Bhav Bhakti. So I was feeling there are so many teachings that need to be settled as a backdrop to these chapters. If we just dive into the language of each chapter, we're going to get part of the truth, but we're not going to see the whole picture. It's going to be there's going to be some gaps in our knowledge, in our um, understanding, comprehension. So
I
we
didn't understand a word of this when I read it first time.
really come to the classes.
Really, that's the truth.
Let's see. So I'll just finish this paragraph anyway. Ruchi appears first before Bhav, that is followed by attachment, asakti for Krishna, and finally Rati. I consider Bhav and Rati to be the same. Because of this is the opinion of the Puranas and the Shastras concerning the performance of dramatic arts, Natya Shastra. So it's saying how in Vaidhi Bhakti we go from Shraddha to Bhajana Kriya, Ananta Nivriti, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav. But in Raganuga Bhakti we can go straight to Ruchi. This is good tattva to understand. Okay, so I haven't explained everything that I wanted to explain today, but I put a nice file that I made today with Rasamanjari on our WhatsApp link, and I've got all the different verses there. And if you sit with that file and read even just the translations of all those verses, it'll give you a ladder of this path of Raganuga. Most of the verses are from Rupa Goswami, but they're all very important verses that we need to have as like stepping stones, walking into this area of Bhav Bhakti. So if you want to join that WhatsApp group, anyone can join. Or just tell me and I'll put you on it. And anyway, that file is there and all the verses are there for us to get a deeper impression. And then the chapter will make more sense. Did you understand something more today? Did you understand a little bit more? Something. There's so many details I'm saying. I know that.
It's a lot to reflect.
Yeah.
Skava again, yeah.
Okay.
Reflect Skava later again.
We'll go tomorrow.
Digest it.
We'll touch on these things tomorrow. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Vanchakalpatubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. One more time.
Thank you so much.